Hi everyone. I want to say a big welcome to the people of St John the Evangelist Parish in the Falls Road, Belfast. It's great to be with you. Very thankful for my friend Father Martin, just inviting me to share something with you tonight. Hope you're doing well in these unusual and peculiar days that we're living through. Martin's asked me to think a little bit, encourage you a little bit about the theme of resurrection in the days that we're living through, and I'm going to read a portion of a book I wrote called Luminous Dark, which talks about resurrection, and it's a book about my own story of grief and how I learned to embrace the resurrection life of Jesus. And the beauty of that is you kind of have to read, maybe know the whole story, which I haven't got time to tell you today, or read the whole book or whatever to have an understanding of what we mean by resurrection, because the beauty of our faith is that resurrection in biblical terms isn't something that invalidates our pain or isn't something that minimizes our pain or our grief, but enters into that, fully embodies it, embraces it, feels it, endures it, suffers it along with us, and brings us out into a place of hope. And that's my story, and that's what we're living through in these days. We're living through turbulence, grief, uncertainty, unknowing, all of those emotions that disorientate us, and it's good to know that we have a God that doesn't that suffers those times with us, but ultimately, because He's God, brings us through, and helps us to realise, in the words of St Julian of Norwich, that all shall be well, and all things shall be well, all manner of things shall be well. So let me read you a couple of paragraphs from my book, Living the Resurrection. Resurrection is the Church's word. Appropriating Jesus' death and resurrection to our lives means that, despite our circumstances, the renewed narrative of our lives is characterised primarily by a forward momentum. We don't have to stay stuck. I can testify to that. I finally apprehended the truth that I didn't have to be rooted to my circumstances, despite or destined to a bogged down existence in a quagmire of unrelenting grief. I began to grasp the exceptional truth that because the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in us, I didn't have to settle for a theology of lack. Disappointment, though real, did not need to define me. Resurrection would. No longer would I allow my understanding of God to be restricted to my disappointments. Where I once experienced death, decay and darkness, hope was inscribing rebirth, light and life on my renewed heart. It may seem at times that the stuffing has been knocked out of us so badly that we are unable to even make it onto the field. I understand that. But for the most part of the game, we're not on the defensive, merely holding out for a draw, extra time or penalties. My luminous dark experience has taught me that those who through Jesus live the resurrection can press in for victory. We can move forward with joyful endeavour. We can compete with resolute confidence. We are on the front foot. We are on the winning side. This was the central message to the early church after Jesus' ascension. It was not we get to heaven when we die simply, but that right now we are being baptised into Christ's death and being raised up in His victorious power with the dynamic energy of His life pulsing in our hearts. As we live in the reality of this, energised by the power of His Spirit, in the prayerful posture of Thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven, we are establishing beauty, truth, justice today that will be enhanced and ennobled in God's new world forever. He is present in our suffering, yet we must remember He is still beyond us. His Spirit plunges the depths of our agonized souls, making darkness His secret place. Yet He still continues to heal the sick and raise the dead. More, He asks us to do the same, and even greater things than these. No matter how distant it feels at the moment, my great hope for you is that you finish knowing that when you get to Jesus, you have resurrection life pumping in your veins. We don't have to settle for the lie that the future is second best when we can know resurrection victory today as a lived reality. Creation is being rebirthed in and through our surrendered hearts. serving as a signpost to the hope that we can know forever. I encourage you to live the resurrection now, for the beautiful mystery for the Christian is Christ in you, the hope of glory. May God bless you in these times that we're living through, and may you know the hope of resurrection post-Easter days we're now living in, just filling up your soul with joy and hope as we contemplate all that's going on in our world. God bless you.